Greetings! Mantore79 here, and welcome back to another deck profile video for the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game. And now in today's video, the deck profile I'm going to be making one for is a V standard formats, Kagero's Dragonic Overlord the TurnAbout with Buy Attack Dragon. Alrighty, let's begin. First up, the starting unit. And now, first up, the Grade 0 lineup. For the Grade 0s in this deck, we are playing 1. Grade 0, Lizard Soldier Conroe. The Grade 0, Lizard Soldier Conroe, starting unit. Skill, Auto. When rolled upon, draw a card. Then, if your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 1 or greater, put a Quick Shield ticket into your hand. So, for Lizard Soldier Conroe, he's the starting unit of this deck. Like any other starting unit in the V standard format, it features the same skill and activation. When written on top of, you get to draw a card. Then, if you're the second to rise to Grade 1, you can add a Quick Shield to your hand, which can serve as a potential 5,000 point shield. And with that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 0 lineup. Next, let's get on with the deck's Grade 1 lineup. And now, for the Grade 1 lineup. For the Grade 1s of this deck, we are playing 4. Grade 1, Lava Flow Dragon. 4. Grade 1, Dragon Knight Keyshot. And 4. Grade 1, Flame of Hope Airmo. The Grade 1, Lava Flow Dragon. Skills, first skill, continuous as a Vanguard or Rearguard. During your turn, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. Second skill, Auto as a Vanguard or Rear Guard. When placed from hand, look at the top 5 cards from your deck, reveal up to one Grade 3 from among them, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. And if you put a card into your hand, discard a card from your hand. So for Lava Flow Dragon, a pretty powerful Grade 1 to play in your Kagero decks. With skills, the first skill, as long as the conditions of the skill are met, your Vanguard or Rear Guard Lava Flow Dragon then can serve as a potential 13,000 point attacker for the front row or 13,000 point booster for the back row. And the second skill, when you would call or ride a Lava Flow Dragon, you have the chance to search the top cards of your deck for a Grade 3 to either to ride with or to use for your later game strategy. The Grade 1, Dragon Knight Keyshot. Skills, first skill, Auto as a Rear Guard. When placed, cost, Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1. If the cost been paid, draw a card, and choose one of your opponent's back row rear guards and retire it. Second skill, Auto. When rolled upon, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to one Grade 3 or greater card from among them, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So for Keyshot, another good card to play in your Kagero decks with its skills, the first skill, when called to the rear guard and paying the cost, not only do you get to draw more cards to restock your hand, you can also have the opportunity to clear your opponent's field of rear guards. And the second skill, if you have Dragon Knight Keyshot as your Vanguard, when you will ride on top of him, you have the chance to search the top cards of your deck for a Grade 3 to either to ride with or to secure for your later game strategy. The Grade 1, Flame of Hope Airmo. Skills, first skill, continuous as a Rear Guard. During the battle it boosted, this unit gets plus 3,000 power. Second skill, Auto as a Rear Guard. When your opponent's rear guard is retired during your turn, cost, retire this unit. If the cost is paid, draw a card and countercharge 1. So for Airmo, another good card to play in your Kagero decks with skills, the first skill, when boosting, your Airmo then can serve as a potential 11,000 point booster for the back row. And the second skill, in the event your opponent's rear guards are retired by paying the cost, not only do you get to draw more cards to restock your hand, but you can also refund your counter blast for later skills. And of that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 1 lineup. Next, let's get on with the Grade 2 lineup. And now, for the Grade 2 lineup. For the Grade 2s of this deck, we are playing 3. Grade 2, Buy Attack Dragon. 4. Grade 2, Burn Rise Dragon. And 4. Grade 2 Dragonic Neoflame. The Grade 2 Bi-Attack Dragon. Skills: first skill, auto as a Vanguard or Rearguard, once per turn. When this unit attacks a Vanguard while boosted, cost Soul Blast 1. If the cost been paid, choose a column and retire all of your opponent's rearguards in that column. Second skill, auto from the hand. At the beginning of your ride phase, if your Vanguard is grade 1 or less, cost discard this card. If the cost been paid, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and choose up to one grade 2 or less card from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So for Bi-Attack Dragon, a pretty powerful card to play in your Kagero decks. Its skills: the first skill, when attacking while boosted, by paying the cost, you can then clear your opponent's field of rearguards, giving you a better advantage. And the second skill, if you choose to activate its second skill while at the beginning of your ride phase and while you're at grade 1, you have the chance to search the top 5 cards of your deck for a grade 1 or grade 2 unit whose skill you can take advantage of later in the game for your upcoming strategies. The Grade 2 Burnrise Dragon. Skill: auto as a rearguard. When your Vanguard stand by a card's ability, cost Counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand. If the cost is paid, this unit gets plus 15,000 power and plus 1 critical until end of turn. So for Burnrise Dragon, another powerful card to play in your Kagero decks. With its skill, after your Vanguard restands by a card ability, by paying the cost, you can then add power and critical to your rearguard Burnrise Dragon. And the best part about this skill, it's stackable. For if you choose to play a Vanguard who can restand multiple times, as long as you have the necessary cards to pay for the cost, you can continue to add more power and critical to Burnrise for every time your Vanguard restands, giving you a powerful front row rearguard to help you either to pressure or finish off your opponent with. The Grade 2 Dragonic Neoflame. Skill: auto as a rearguard. When your Dragonic Overlord the Great attacks, until end of battle, that unit gets plus 5,000 power, then cost Counterblast 2. If the cost is paid, that unit gets plus 1 critical. So for Dragonic Neoflame, it's a support card for the Dragonic Overlord the Great. For whenever your Vanguard or Rearguard the Great attacks while you have a Neoflame in the rearguard, you can then give the attacking the Great plus 5,000 power and the chance to increase its critical. And the best part about this skill, it's stackable. For if you manage to secure multiple copies of Neoflame the rearguard, when the Great attacks, all of those Neoflames will activate their skill, giving your attacking the Great a huge boost of power and the chance to increase its critical, making your Neoflame a good support card to give the Great a easier chance to either to pressure or finish off your opponent. And of that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 2 lineup. Next, let's get on with the deck's Grade 3 lineup. And now, for the Grade 3 lineup. For the Grade 3s of this deck, we are playing 4. Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, the TurnAbout. 4. Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, the Great. And 2. Dragonic Overlord. The Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, the TurnAbout. Skill: auto as a Vanguard, once per turn. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. Cost: Counterblast 1 and discard 2 cards from your hand. If the cost is paid, stand all of your front row units with Overlord in their card name, and until end of turn, this unit gets drive -1, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, all of your front row units of Overlord in their card name get plus 10,000 power. So for TurnAbout, it's one of the main grade 3s to play in this deck. With its skill, just by attacking and paying the cost, you can restand your Vanguard, but also any front row Overlords you have in the rear guard as well. And as long as the conditions are met, you can also give the restanding Overlords a huge boost of power, making it easier to either pressure or finish off your opponent with. The Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, the Great. Skills: first skill, auto as a Vanguard. When placed, call up to 1 Dragonic Neoflame from your drop zone to rear guard. Second skill, auto as a Vanguard, once per turn. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. If your soul has a grade 3, cost Counterblast 1 and discard 2 cards from your hand. If the cost is paid, stand this unit and one of your Dragonic Neoflame, and they get drive -1 until end of turn. So for Dragonic Overlord the Great, another main grade 3 to play in this deck. With its skills, the first skill, Just by riding the Great to your Vanguard, you can superior call a Neo Flame from your drop zone to your rear guard to serve as a potential front row attacker or a rear guard whose skill you wish to take advantage of later in the game. Any second skill, after attacking, as long as the conditions of the skill are met and you pay the cost, you can not only restand your Vanguard, but also one rear guard Dragonic Neo Flame, giving you 2 more attacks to help you to either pressure or finish off your opponent with. The Grade 3, Dragonic Overlord. Skills, first skill, action as a Vanguard or rear guard. Once per turn, cost, Soul Blast 1. If the cost is paid, this unit gets plus 10,000 power until end of turn. Second skill, auto as a Vanguard once per turn. When its attack hits, cost, Counter Blast 1 and discard 2 cards from your hand. If the cost is paid, stand this unit, and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. So for Dragonic Overlord, another main grade 3 to play in this deck. If its skills the first skill, just by paying the cost, either your Vanguard or rear guard Dragonic Overlord can turn into a potential 23,000 point attacker for your front row. Any second skill, as long as it lands a successful attack on either your opponent's Vanguard or rear guard, by paying the cost, you can restand your Vanguard Overlord for another attack to help you either to pressure or finish off your opponent with. And if that, which is about covered the deck's grade 3 lineup, next, let's get on with the trigger lineup. And now, for the trigger lineup. For the triggers of this deck, we are playing 4. Grade 0, Angry Horn Dragon, critical trigger. 2. Grade 0, Embodiment of Spear, Tar, critical trigger. 2. Grade 0, Dragon Knight Janat, critical trigger. 2. Grade 0, Wyvern Guard Bari, draw trigger. 2. Grade 0, Toxify Light Dragon, draw trigger. And 4. Grade 3, Dragon Dancer Nastasha, heal trigger. The Grade 0, Dragon Knight Janat, critical trigger, Sentinel. Skill, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards of Continuous Sentinel in a deck. So for Dragon Knight Janat, he's one of the Sentinels for the Kagero clan's V standard format. Like any other Sentinel, he's a powerful defensive card. For Janat's case, he alone can serve as a potential 30,000 point shield on his own. The Grade 0, Wyvern Guard Bari, draw trigger, Sentinel, perfect guard. Skills, first skill, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards of Continuous Sentinel in a deck. Second skill, auto. As a guardian, when placed, cost, discard a card from your hand. If the cost is paid, one of your units cannot be hit until end of battle. So for Bari, he's a perfect guard for the Kagero clan's V standard format. Like any other perfect guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation. When used to guard with and discarding 1 card from your hand, you can block one enemy attack. The Grade 3, Dragon Dancer Nastasha, heal trigger, heal guardian. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is put on the guardian circle from hand, if you did not ride a Grade 3 or greater unit during this fight, perform one of the following. First effect, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets plus 10,000 power until end of turn. Second effect, choose one of your opponents and it gets -2 critical until end of battle. Second skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rear guard from hand, if your damage zone has no cards, put the top card of your deck into the damage zone. So for Nastasha, it's one of the heal guardians for the Kagero clan. And for skills, the first skill, when you would guard with Nastasha before riding to Grade 3, you can activate one of 2 powerful defensive effects. For the first effect, your Vanguard gets plus 10,000 power for the end of the turn until end of turn. So for this first effect, it's a good way to stop your opponent from rushing you too early by attacking you with a large number of attacks during the early phase of the fight. And the second effect, just like the first effect, it's a defensive skill. It can reduce your opponent's attacking unit by 2 criticals, thus making it easier to hold back any heavy damage early in the game from opponents who manage to hit you with high critical attacks early. And the second skill, its skill is used when you call it from hand to rear guard. From hand to rear guard, then if you have no cards in the damage zone, you can place the top card of the deck face up on the damage zone. This way, it's a good counter to use against the opponents who play the damage denial strategy. The damage denial strategy is when your opponents prevent you from using your skills by not making you have any counterblast ready by not attacking you, giving you no cards in the damage zone. with Nastasha's skill, you can then more or less work around the annoyance of the damage null strategy, giving you at least one counter blast to work with. And of that, we just about covered the deck's trigger lineup. For the triggers of this deck, we are playing 8 critical triggers, 4 draw triggers, and 4 heal triggers. And now, after having just explained the deck's build and card effects, next, let's get on to explain the deck's main playstyle. So for the main playstyle of this deck, first you just ride normally from your grade 0, 1, 2, and 3. For your grade 3, try to make sure it's Dragonic Overlord or TurnAbout. Then in your front row rear guards, try to call at least 1 or 2 Overlords. At best, call 2, either two of the same Overlords or any different one to make use of their different skills for combinations. Then in your back row, try to secure at least 1 Dragonic Neoflame to support your Dragonic Overlord to great. Then in your back row, use any great ones you wish. Then when it's time to go to your battle phase, attack your rear guard Overlords first. Then when it's attack your Vanguard, use your Vanguard TurnAbout skill to not only restand your Vanguard, but also restand your rear guard Overlords. And as long as the conditions of the skill are met, you can also increase their power. So that's pretty much the main playstyle. Ride until Dragonic Overlord to TurnAbout. Secure 2 more Overlords for your front row rear guards. At least 1 Neoflame for your back row, and some other great ones to boost with in the remaining circles. Then, when it's time to attack in your battle phase, always attack your rear guard Overlords first, then attack your Vanguard Overlord to TurnAbout. Then when it's time to use your TurnAbout skill, restand your Vanguard and the rear guard Overlords, giving you a total of 6 attacks to work with, which is a good way to either to pressure or finish off your opponent with the increased power and number of attacks you can make that turn. And of that, we just about covered the deck's main playstyle. And of that, that's just about all the time we have for today. First I want to say is, thank you to the viewers watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. And I also hope you all show support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my videos and channel. And of that I say, goodbye and see you all soon!